Hi, this is Tucker with a quick grammar video on using semicolons. Today we're going to talk about the four main uses of the semicolon. The first use is to connect two main clauses that are not joined by a coordinating conjunction, which are the fanboys we talked about last video in the comma and compound sentence video. So main clauses, as a review, are clauses that can stand on their own. They're basically a sentence. They have a subject, which is the person, place, or thing that's doing something, and a predicate, which tells what the subject is doing and contains the verb. So a semicolon can be used to join two main clauses that are basically independent sentences that have a relationship to each other. So you don't want to join unrelated sentences, but you want to have sentences that are closely related, and then instead of using the comma and a coordinating conjunction, you can simply use a semicolon. So if you wanted to say, she hates to clean, comma, but I know she will pick up before her friends come for the party. Instead, if you used a semicolon, it would read, she hates to clean, I know she will pick up before her friends come to the party. So in either instance, it's correct. So in one strategy, the first sentence, you're using a coordinating conjunction and a comma to combine two independent clauses. And in the second sentence, you're using the semicolon to combine those two independent clauses, those two main clauses. The second use of the semicolon is to use a semicolon and a conjunctive adverb. And a conjunctive adverb is a word that indicates a relationship between the two separate clauses, main clauses, that you're pulling together. So for example, in the sentence below, it says, the cost of college is increasingly expensive, semicolon. Subsequently is our conjunctive adverb. Subsequently, more students are attending junior college. So if you look at that sentence, the cost of college is increasingly expensive is a main clause. It can stand by itself. The second part of the sentence, more students are attending junior college, is also a main clause that can stand by itself. But we're using the semicolon and the conjunctive adverb to pull them together to show the relationship between the first main clause and the second main clause. The second example reads, junk food is a main cause of obesity in America, semicolon, therefore it should be taxed at a higher rate. Again, we have the first main clause, junk food is the main cause of obesity in America. The second main clause, it should be taxed at a higher rate, and we're pulling it together with the semicolon and the word therefore, which shows that relationship between the two main clauses. Now, there are several different conjunctive adverbs that are used to indicate relationship in meaning between those two main clauses, and some of the more common ones are therefore, however, nevertheless, furthermore, subsequently, and moreover. So whenever you see these words, you want to be thinking, are they pulling together two main clauses? And if so, you know you need the semicolon before it and the comma after it. And if you look back at these examples, each one starts with the semicolon and ends with the comma. The third semicolon use that's very common is to use semicolons to separate items in a list or a series if those items in the list or series contain commas. So in the example below, it reads, this summer she visited San Francisco, California, Savannah, Georgia, Maui, Hawaii, and Orlando, Florida. Each of those items is a city, then a comma, and the state. Because there's a comma in each one of those items, you're gonna then use the semicolon to separate the items in the list. Otherwise, you would have a ton of commas and it would be very hard for your reader to figure out where one item ends and the next item begins. The last way, the fourth use of semicolons, is to use semicolons to separate main clauses that are joined by a coordinating conjunction if the main clauses that are being joined also have several commas that might confuse the meaning. So if you have two main clauses and you're pulling them together with a comma and a coordinating conjunction like for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so, then you want to look at the two main clauses. And if there are already commas in those clauses, you need to figure out, does it make sense to use the semicolon and the coordinating conjunction instead? So in the example below, it reads, the movie was very long, almost 3.5 hours, and contained slow parts, which made it hard to stay focused. But I enjoyed it anyway. So in that first main clause, the movie was very long, almost 3.5 hours, and contained slow parts, which made it hard to stay focused, you see we have several commas. So in that instance, we want to use the semicolon and the coordinating conjunction to join the two main clauses so that we're not confusing our reader with many commas in the sentence that might make it hard to figure out what exactly we're trying to say. So those are the four main ways that we use semicolons in a sentence.